get the horror out of my mind. I was doing some mundane research about elite model management, my former agency, when I was a teen model, and I stumbled upon a book written by former supermodel, Carre Otis, Beauty Disrupted. Remember those Calvin Klein and Guess ads from the 90s? In her book, she describes her graphic rape at age 17 by Gérald Marie, her agent and former head of Elite Europe. Here's the Beauty Disrupted excerpt from the Jezebel article. Hours later something woke me suddenly. I heard the drunken shuffling of feet moving down the hallway toward me. Filled with alarm, I pulled the covers up around my head. But in a flash my safe haven was invaded and I was exposed. Gerald stood above me, ripping the covers from the bed. Before I could react, his sticky body was on me and those disgusting red ringlets of his were falling on my face. I pushed back, but I could barely breathe with the weight of him pressing down on me. I cried out, a lame attempt to shake him from what seemed like a drunken stupor. I could smell gin on his breath as he harshly pushed his mouth onto mine. The sharp tongue darted out, trying to open my pursed lips in a grotesque kiss. The smell of him made me want to vomit. The fury in me made me want to throw him off me, but in my naked, fevered state, I couldn't seem to find the strength or the leverage to move him aside. Gerald seemed all too expert at getting what he wanted, and in the tangle of my naked legs and pleas and cries his hand found my mouth and clamped down, trying to silence me. Why even bother? I wondered. I knew we were alone. And I knew that even if I were to fight back and scream, no one would hear me. No one would come. Gerald proceeded to viciously penetrate my body, his grunts and groans mixed with the sound of the rain that had begun to pound the tiny window in that tiny room. My thoughts drifted to his little daughter sleeping in the same bed. How could he do this here? Then I thought of the other models who were temporarily housed in this room. I fleetingly wondered if I might not be the first girl to be violated in this strange place. I cried silently as well as out loud. I cried a river. I cried while the rains fell steadily outside. I became the rain. I became the room. I disappeared in the awful endless rocking. I remember the horrific feeling of his penis sliding out of me, the wetness that told me he had come inside me. I remember nausea welling up, and then the involuntary gagging that began as he stood, looked down at me, then turned and stumbled out of the room. What makes this more horrific is that Gerald was engaged to supermodel Linda Evangelista during the time when he raped Carré. It wasn't enough to have the most beautiful woman on the earth, Linda. No, Gérald Marie repeatedly raped a young, innocent girl because he's a coke-addicted rapist. Let's get real. How many girls did he rape during his 25-plus-year career as the top rabid dog at Elite? A journalist in 1999 revealed the true nature of Gérald Marie in a BBC documentary. I've tried to find the scathing BBC documentary and it seems to have been removed. He was caught on video trying to pay to have sex with a journalist who had gone undercover as a young model. And then, the highest-ranking female executives at Elite quit after demanding that John Casablancas and Gérald Marie stop having sex, raping, underage girls. Here's where it gets personal. Marie Anderson was my modeling agent in Chicago. She's one of the women who quit Elite because the sick fucks at the top wouldn't stop raping the underage girls. Read about it here. After the release of the BBC documentary, Gérald Marie became suicidal. What kind of sick society do we live in that we don't take any action against a confirmed serial rapist? Why is he allowed to walk free, with absolutely no punishment, no repercussions from the violent acts he has committed against young girls? The world, indeed, is fucked. I looked up Gérald Marie's LinkedIn profile and it appears that he works now for AU Models. I felt physically ill for 2 solid days after thoroughly comprehending the reality of the modeling industry that I was associated with for a short time. It's a much sicker and more depraved place than I could have imagined in my worst nightmares. Now I'm asking for your support. for the sake of justice and Bruce, I'm asking for anyone who has been raped by Gérald Marie or John Casablancas to submit their story to leastella@gmail.com. Your anonymity will be 100% protected. I'm currently writing a book about my own experiences as an elite model, and your story will help back up my own suspicions about the reality of these scumbags. Ask me any questions you may have. If you were raped, I'm sorry. I wish there was something I could have done to prevent it.